Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I never imagined my life would take such a turn. My ex-wife and I had a long, complicated history. Before we were ever romantically involved, she was my sister's best friend. She was always around, part of family dinners, holiday gatherings, and even vacations. She and my sister had been close since they were teenagers. At that time, I saw her as my sister's friend, nothing more. She was married back then, too. Her first husband was a decent guy as far as I could tell. Friendly enough, seemed supportive, but they were never the picture-perfect couple. I heard bits and pieces from my sister over the years, stories of arguments, of tensions that never seemed to fade. Eventually, the marriage fell apart. When the divorce happened, my sister was her shoulder to cry on, and she spent more time than ever at our family home. I wasn't involved in the details, but I knew she was struggling to find her footing after leaving her ex. It wasn't a surprise when she moved back to our hometown to start fresh. At first, I kept my distance. I didn't see her as someone I'd ever date. She was family adjacent, so to speak. But life has a funny way of bringing people together when you least expect it. Over time, we started talking more. What began as casual conversations turned into real, meaningful exchanges. I got to know her on a deeper level, and somewhere along the line, things changed. We started seeing each other. She was hesitant at first, worried about what my sister would think, about how it would change the dynamics of our families. But in the end, we decided to give it a shot. We dated for a couple of years before we got married. I'll admit, I had my reservations. She'd been married before, and I was nervous about stepping into a relationship with someone who'd already been through so much. But she reassured me over and over that this time would be different. She said she knew what she wanted now and that she'd learned from her past. I believed her. We talked about having kids early on. She wanted children, badly. I understood that, but I was in a different place. I was still trying to establish my career, to make a name for myself in my industry. I wanted to wait until we were more stable, more financially secure. I told her it wasn't a no, it was a not yet. She said she understood, but I could tell it frustrated her. She wanted to start a family now, not later. Still, she agreed to wait, and I assumed we were on the same page. But as the years went by, I could feel her growing restless. Every time a friend announced a pregnancy or a relative brought their newborn to a family gathering, she'd get this faraway look in her eyes. She'd drop hints about how she wasn't getting any younger, about her biological clock was ticking. I kept telling her the timing wasn't right, that we needed to focus on building a stable foundation before bringing a child into the world. I thought I was being practical, but in hindsight, maybe I wasn't listening closely enough to how deeply she wanted it and was being selfish. Then she got a job. It was a big deal for her, a higher position, better pay, more responsibilities. She was excited, and I was genuinely happy for her. But it also meant longer hours, more travel, and less time together. I tried to be supportive, to encourage her to chase her dreams, but I could tell something was changing. She seemed distant, distracted. I assumed it was the stress of the new role, the adjustment to a heavier workload. One night, after she'd come home late again, she sat me down and told me we needed to talk. She looked nervous. I braced myself, thinking maybe she was going to tell me she wanted a break from work, or that she was feeling overwhelmed. What she said next hit me like a freight train. "I've developed feelings for someone else," she said. I just stared at her, not fully understanding. She explained that it was her boss, that they'd grown close during the late nights at the office and out-of-town conferences. She told me she hadn't meant for it to happen, but that she couldn't deny her feelings anymore. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was the woman I'd built my life with, the woman I'd planned to have children with someday. And now she was telling me she wanted to leave me for her boss? I was angry, hurt, and completely blindsided. But what came next was even worse. "I'm pregnant," she said, "and it's not yours." I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. For years, I had been the one putting off having children, saying the timing wasn't right. And now, she was telling me she was having a child with another man. I asked her if this meant she was leaving me. She nodded, saying that her boss had promised to leave his wife, that they were going to be together, and that this was her chance to have the family she'd always wanted. I didn't know what else to do. I signed the divorce papers, moved out, and booked myself a therapist. For a year, I heard nothing from her. I assumed she was living her dream, raising her baby with the man she left me for. Then, one day, she showed up at my door, holding her infant daughter. I hadn't seen or heard from her since the divorce, so I had no clue what she wanted. She stood there holding her baby, looking nervous, and asked if we could talk. I let her in, and we sat down in the living room. At first, she was quiet, just holding the baby and avoiding eye contact. It was clear that whatever she had to say wasn't going to be easy for her, or for me. Finally, she started explaining. She told me that after we divorced, her relationship with her boss started to fall apart. At first, he had told her he'd leave his wife so they could be together, but those promises never panned out. Instead, his excuses kept piling up. He said he needed more time, that it was complicated. As the baby's birth approached, he became increasingly distant. By the time the baby was born, he had practically vanished. Then she told me the rest of the story. She found out that his wife knew about the affair all along, but instead of leaving him, his wife made him choose. Either stay in the marriage and cut off all contact with my ex-wife and their baby, or leave the marriage and take responsibility for the child. He chose to stay. He walked away, leaving my ex-wife alone with their newborn. I sat there listening, trying to process what she was saying, but I couldn't understand why she'd come to me. That's when she said it. She wanted me to put my name on the baby's birth certificate. She told me the child needed a father, someone stable and reliable, and that I was the best option. When I asked why she would even consider this, she brought up how I had always made her wait to have kids while we were married. She said I kept saying the timing wasn't right, that I needed to focus on my career, and that she felt she'd waited for something that never came. Now she had this child, and she needed me to step up. She told me that even though I wasn't the biological father, I could still provide the stability and love the child deserved. I listened to her reasoning, but I couldn't wrap my head around it. I told her it wasn't my responsibility. She had left me to be with another man, and now that he had abandoned her, she was asking me to step up and be a father to her affair child. I felt bad for the baby, but I also knew I couldn't just lie and pretend to be the father. I said no, firmly. I told her that it wasn't fair to me or the child. She didn't take it well. She started crying, accusing me of being heartless, of not caring about an innocent child. She said it wouldn't cost me anything to help, and that it was just a name on a piece of paper. But I knew it wasn't that simple. Putting my name on the birth certificate would be a legal commitment, something that tied me to a situation I had no part in creating. I stayed calm, repeated that I couldn't do it, and told her I was sorry. After a while, she gave up and left. After she left my house that day, I thought that was the end of it. I figured she'd realize I wasn't going to change my mind and move on. But not long after, I got a text from her. She said that if I wouldn't agree to put my name on the baby's birth certificate, she was prepared to take legal action. Specifically, she threatened to sue me for a portion of my father's inheritance. My dad had passed away a few months earlier, and I'd inherited a significant amount of money. She claimed that as my ex-wife, she still had a right to some of that inheritance, and that if I refused to help with the baby, she would go after it in court. I was shocked. We'd been divorced for over a year, and my father's inheritance was never part of our shared assets. Yet here she was, essentially trying to use that money to force me into signing the birth certificate. I couldn't believe what I was reading. It felt like she was trying to blackmail me into being the father she wanted me to be. She again said it's my fault she got pregnant with this baby because I kept delaying having children with her, and this would never have happened if I would have agreed to make her a mother. Am I the a-hole for refusing to sign a birth certificate for my ex-wife's affair child? OP is definitely not the a-hole here. It sounds like OP's wife is trying to clean up her own mess by dragging OP into a situation OP had nothing to do with. OP is not responsible for her choices, and signing that birth certificate would make OP legally obligated to support a child that isn't OP's. I feel for the kid, but this is on OP's ex and the biological father, not OP. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Not the a-hole. She left you for another man, and now that things didn't work out the way she wanted, she's looking for someone to step in and take responsibility. You're under no obligation to do that. She made her choices, and she has to deal with the consequences. Don't let her guilt you into something you don't feel is right. Not the a-hole. This is a tough situation for the child, but it doesn't mean you should lie on a legal document and pretend to be the father. It's unfair of your ex to demand this of you after everything that's happened. She's the one who decided to leave and start a new life. She can't expect you to pick up the pieces when it all falls apart. Not the a-hole. Your ex is out of line here. Signing that birth certificate would be a huge mistake, not just for you, but for the child. What happens if one day she wants to know who her real father is? It's not your responsibility to fix the fallout from someone else's bad decisions. Stay firm. I, 45 male, was married to my now ex-wife, 45 female, at the age of 22. Our fathers were longtime pals and they arranged this marriage for us. I know, the arrangement idea sucked, but I will be damned if I said I did not love her. For me, she embodied the very essence of the word femininity. We have 2 daughters, aged 20 and 22. 7 years ago, ex-wife was told that she has some problems related to her heart and lungs. Not to get into too much detail of what, but she quite often experienced pain around the heart and left lung. Medicine did help soothe it, but it was not exactly a cure. 2 years on, she was told what she was suffering from was basically incurable. Medicine will help ease her pain, but it would be a miracle to live till 50. She understandably became depressed and went to live with her sister. Our parents died within 9 years of our marriage. Week later, she calls me and asks for a divorce. That she was glad she married me, but wants to spend her last years with her true love, a boyfriend she had in college for less than a year. I refused and suggested therapy. That was a no-go. To make matters worse, my daughter sided with her and said I should divorce her for her well-being. Since I was an only child and my parents were not in the picture, parent siblings could not care less about me. I had no adult on my side, while my ex's sister also backed her. 6 months later, I divorced her. After completing her idat, waiting period for married women after divorce or death of husband, she instantly married her old boyfriend, and that was their happily ever after. As for me, daughter went to live with their mother. No contact except for school fees and other expenses. Did not get invited to any birthdays or got wished on my own. Was told to not come to either's graduation ceremony because it would be awkward. When the youngest turned 18, I gave them their inheritance, and that was the last time we ever contacted each other. 2 years later, they contacted me to meet up. Turns out, old boyfriend got tired of my ex and her medical condition and paying for it that he divorced her. Daughters foolishly gave money to old boyfriend for some project and never got any back. They know my job covers medical expenses for spouses, and they wanted me to remarry her so that their mother may live. I refused because I am due to marry this December. They said, no problem. I just have to be married in name and add ex-wife as the insurance benefactor. I was livid because insurance covers one spouse, and I am not a polygamist. Daughters calling me a monster for letting their mother die. Ex-wife is begging me to take her back. Her side of the family have been pretty obnoxious, and my relatives finally decided to butt in my affairs and tell me to reconsider. Fiancé says she will be happy with what I decide. Already told her my answer. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. No one here is even family. They only contact you when they want something. Also, a fake marriage to get access to medical care for someone who probably has a lot of expenses. Must be illegal, no? Not the a-hole. You should stop talking to all of them. Your wife basically admitted she never loved you for real. Your daughters didn't care at all about you except for money. I hope you the best with your new wife, and you should take care of your will and maybe give the money to charity or your new wife. They don't deserve a dime of it. Not the a-hole. She made the decision to divorce you and everyone supported her. They cut off contact with you and now expect you to help? Nope. If they weren't there for you, why would you be there for them? She made her bed and now she has to lie in it. Not the a-hole. I think the biggest problem is with your daughters. Not that they are the biggest a-holes, but they are the biggest barriers holding you back from telling your ex to get lost. It sounds like your ex has alienated them from you and convinced them that they should do whatever she wants. That if you don't marry her again, you are evil. I imagine if you say no, your daughters would either cut off contact completely or continue to badger you. You love your daughters and of course want them to be happy and have a relationship with you. The way they have been manipulated is awful, and I feel bad for them. But by giving in, you would not be helping them. My extremely narcissistic and ex-husband wants our son to be tested for a donor match because he has cancer in both kidneys and needs a donor kidney. I have several issues with this, and I'm wondering if I'm being a B, because if I don't agree to this, he could die if he doesn't find a donor soon. Number 1. X wanted me to cancel our son because a 5-month amniocentesis showed he might have birth defects. When I refused the A, he left me. He didn't come back until after our son was born with nothing more than mild hearing loss, mild learning disabilities. Number 2. Turns out he was cheating during the time he was gone, and that he'd been having an affair with the woman, his first ex-wife, for almost the entire duration of his marriage to me. At that time, she was also married to someone else. When son was only 2 months old, the ex packed up and left and has been with her ever since, although he's never married her. He's actually told me our entire 13-year marriage was a mistake and that he wishes he'd never met me. Number 3. Son is now 16 years old and his father hasn't seen him since he was 4, by his own choice. He's also way behind in child support, like $30,000, but could easily afford to pay it as he makes a high 6-figure salary. Number 4. Son is high-functioning autistic and very emotionally vulnerable. He hates his father for abandoning him, especially since his father seems to be quite happily parenting his ex-wife's kids from her second husband. Although considering the duration of their affair, most of our marriage apparently, I suppose those kids could be his. They're much younger than my son. Number 5. I'm almost 100% sure that if I allow this to happen, the ex will simply disappear from our son's life all over again once he finds out he's not a match, or even if he does match and acts as the donor. Because being out of his only child's life for 10 years is pretty much proof to me that he doesn't give a damn about him. And if he doesn't care about us, why the hell should we care about him? Number 6. Kidney cancer actually runs very strongly in my ex-husband's family. His father died of it, his grandfather died of it, and 2 of his father's sisters died of it, which means it's entirely possible my son will end up getting it as well. Which would mean if he only had 1 kidney due to being a donor, he'll be in a worse position than his father currently is. So, am I right to want to protect my child from being used by a father who doesn't care about him? Or am I a B for being willing to let him die by not letting his child be his organ donor? FYI, I have not told my son about this request, and if and when I do, I have a feeling he won't agree to it at first. But his father could probably manipulate him into it very easily, if I allow his father to talk to him. And his father could easily use the court system to force me to let him spend time with our son. Not the a-hole. Your son is 16. That means you're still the final say in these medical decisions. The genetic risk of kidney cancer means you have a special obligation to protect him in this situation. Regardless of how much a douche your ex is or not, your obligation first and foremost should be to your son. Even if the 2 of you had parted amicably due to growing apart over the years, your obligation still should be first and foremost to your son. Your husband knows his son is at an increased risk for kidney cancer, and he doesn't care. The kind of person who deserves a kidney from someone in that medically risky situation is the kind of person who would never dream of asking for one, especially from their own kid. Do you know your ex's and son's blood type? It might be they don't need testing to determine compatibility. If it's incompatible, it saves you the trouble. You have a couple of options. You can say you won't even consider it until your son is 18. You can talk to your son, and if he initially rejects it, you can promise him not to allow any contact with the dad. I'm not sure what country you live in that would force your son to spend time with a guy who hasn't seen him in 12 years and is $30,000 behind in child support, especially if your son didn't want to see him. Update. I had a long talk with my son last night about the situation. His response was that his father had been dead to him for years, so why should he care if he dies for real? Then literally went on to ask me if I thought he'd end up inheriting enough money to buy a high-end gaming computer and a new car. So it's pretty obvious he doesn't give a damn. I must admit I was a little appalled by his reaction, but considering his therapist thinks he's probably narcissistic personality disorder like his father and his grandmother, can't be legally diagnosed until he's 18. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised. Context. I'm 20 male. The stuff I'm talking about is a sword that was used by my 6-time great-grandfather at the Battle of Plassey. We are from Bangladesh. Our family inheritance goes back several centuries. My grandfather, 108 male, was the patriarch before it passed to my father, 60 male. My father is the oldest child. Here comes the trouble. My grandfather had an affair and eventually left my grandmother, Dad's mother, to marry another woman. With her, he has 4 more kids, 2 sons, 2 daughters. So now he created a will that divided his estate, money, farmlands, to all his kids, but my father, as he was the oldest, got 50% of everything. My father stepped back and didn't take anything. Instead, he revoked it and passed everything to his sister and half-siblings. It happened when my grandfather was alive, and he created another will that gave me, the eldest grandson, the ancestral sword. I know it might sound funny, but I have a lot of emotions attached to it because I'm a history freak. The sword hilt is 24-karat gold with rubies attached. He passed away after executing this will. So now my father is the patriarch, but he doesn't have much wealth as he distributed it. But he himself worked hard to provide for us and built his own properties. Now, according to the will, I'm the rightful owner of that sword, and I want to pass it down to my kids. It isn't just a sword to me. My father tells me I have no right to it, and I should return it because my father did the same too. The same is being said by everyone from my dad's side of the family that I should return this sword to my uncle, as my father won't take it. See, my uncles are greedy people. They'll just sell it for quick money. I want to keep it in the family. I have no intention of returning it because it rightfully belongs to me, because I'm the son of my grandfather's son. According to the will, legally, I'm the owner. That's the thing. Now everyone is giving me the silent treatment and telling me I'm an a-hole. I should not keep anything because my father didn't take anything too, and this takes away my right to. Am I the a-hole for not listening to them and believing that it rightfully belongs to me? Not the a-hole. Your father makes this a battle of wills against a dead person. Please keep the sword in the family, otherwise it will be lost forever. If the uncles sell it, it might be dismantled for the gold and rubies. Your dad gets no say. Your family gets no say. The only person that gets a say is the previous owner, your grandfather, that gifted it to you. Keep it. Cherish it. Just tell everyone you are honoring your grandfather's wishes, and you are the eldest grandson, I'm assuming. Not the a-hole. Just stop engaging with them on this subject. Not the a-hole. So just because your father didn't want to take things from his father means that you also aren't allowed to have anything as well? Makes no sense to me, man. Definitely keep the sword. Who knows? One day it could end up in a museum or something if you and your future family play the cards right. But who wouldn't want an amazing historical sword hanging in their house? Stick to your heart and keep it. I, 20 female, am the child of my mother's first marriage. Failed after a love affair that got mother pregnant with my stepsister, 17 female. Mother married her lover. I stayed with my father. When I was 17, father died of a heart attack, leaving all he had to me. I can't say that I am filthy rich, but I can say that I have enough money to live a more than privileged life, as I obtained basically father's plus my paternal grandparents' inheritance. Mother didn't get a cent, but she took me in. My stepsister has a few medical conditions and has a service dog. Mother and stepdad struggle with the bills. It's no one's fault, it's just how it is. I felt selfish living with them knowing the gap between our finances, so I offered to pay for stepsister's college. Everything was fine until a few months ago. Her dog, a 5-year-old male Labrador retriever, started having weird mood swings. At first, he was only less playful, but then he started avoiding us or even growling at people or dogs who walked by. I tried to tell stepsister to take him to the vet, but she said that he's fine and it's the quarantine. Had my doubts, but I suppose she knows how to take care of her own dog and dropped it. But with time, the dog's bad mood became worse and more frequent. Last week we were in the park, quarantine lifted. A child ran past us screaming. The dog snapped. He barked and actively went for the child. I am 100% positive that had the leash not been there, he would have made contact. Stepsister brushed him off and was even a bit smug about it. Serves him right for disturbing a service dog. No, he was playing and this is not normal. This is only one instance of many. I don't think he should be trusted around people, service dog or not. Stepsister wants to take him to college, obviously, but is he still fit? Stepsister is already having fights with people accusing her of having a fake service dog, and I can see why. He barks, growls, snaps, and I'm not even sure he's focused on his job. I begged them many times to have him checked out, but my family has a severe case of selective deafness for this argument. I think it's because of all the trouble they went through to get him and how important he is, But it'll be worse if he bites someone and gets put down. Withdrawing the money I offered her for college is my very last stand. I am not trying to compromise stepsister's future, but she cannot go with a dog that is a danger for everyone involved. For other people, given how he behaves. For stepsister, because even his usefulness as a service dog may be compromised. For the dog himself, because there may be something medically wrong with him. I told stepsister that she will have the money when she will address the problem with her dog. My family believes that I am an a-hole for taking back the money to dictate what a disabled person does with their service dog. But honestly, if it was not a service dog, I would have already kidnapped him for some checkups. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. That dog wouldn't pass any service dog testing with the way he acts right now. This dog is trying to communicate something, and if they refuse to listen, they'll only damage him more. He's completely unfit for his job, and if he can't be fixed, he needs to be retired now. This is a tough one, because using promised college money to manipulate people into doing what you want them to is a dick move. It's not supposed to be conditional like that. On the other hand, stepsis is being negligent and dangerous, which could cost the dog his life. Since your ask is not that deep, just take the damn dog to the vet. I have to say, not the a-hole. You're not trying to tell her how to live her life. Just get an animal help it desperately needs. Your stepsis's and mom's attitude is very worrying, and at the end of the day, your offer is a very generous one, and they ought to keep that in mind, as do you when they berate you like this.